Hello students, for today's topic we are going to learn about future tense going to. Primero que nada, ¿qué es el futuro simple? Future simple is a verb tense that is used to talk about things that haven't happened yet. El futuro simple se usa para hablar sobre cosas que aún no han pasado, pero van a suceder en un futuro.
So now we're gonna do an activity to know how much do you know about the future. We're gonna do a brainstorm about what comes to your mind when you think about the future, and we're gonna share our ideas in a Jamboard. The link is already done, so you're just gonna get in it and you're gonna share the ideas there.
The simple future tense has two forms. In this presentation, we are going to go with more detail in the going to form, but we are going to explain briefly the will form, the use of the verb will. El futuro simple tiene dos formas, pero en esta presentación, en este caso, vamos a ir con más detalle en el going to y vamos a explicar brevemente el uso del verbo will, que es para el futuro simple también.
So the structure of a future simple sentence goes like, first, the subject, that's I, you, he. Then the will, we always have to put will in a future simple sentence. It's I will, for example, and then the infinite verb, that's the verb without having to conjugate it. And finally, the complement, which is optional depending on the situation. Sometimes you may need to explain more in the sentence, to add more information, or sometimes it's just enough with a verb. And here we have an example for it. We have I will study for tomorrow's test. I is the subject, el sujeto. And then we have the will. And then we have the verb, which in this case is study, and finally the complement that says for tomorrow's test. This one depends on the situation, as I said previously. For example, I will study is something that makes sense, but you may need to be more specific. I will study for tomorrow's test. So that's why the complement comes in hand.
Ahora, ¿qué es going to? Going to es un verbo que se usa en el futuro simple para hacer referencia a cosas que vamos a hacer en un periodo de tiempo corto o tenemos la intención de hacer. Por ejemplo, I'm going to buy clothes tomorrow. Voy a comprar ropa mañana. Now I'm going to explain the structure of positive sentence in future simple. La estructura de las oraciones positivas en el futuro simple se forman de la siguiente manera. En el siguiente ejemplo les voy a explicar cómo se forman. I am going to play baseball tonight. En la estructura de las oraciones positivas, primero tenemos subject, que es el sujeto de la oración. En este ejemplo, el sujeto sería I. Remember that for each personal pronoun, we have I, you, we, she, he, it. La segunda parte para formar una oración positiva is the verb to be. Remember that for each personal pronoun, there's a specific verb. For example, I am, you are, she is, he is, they are. En este caso, como el pronombre es I, el verbo to be correspondiente es am. I am. El tercer paso de la estructura de las oraciones positivas es agregar el going to. El verbo going to siempre va a estar ahí para formar el future simple. El cuarto paso para formar oraciones positivas sería el verbo en infinitivo. ¿Cómo hacemos que un verbo sea infinitivo? Es muy fácil, simplemente tenemos que agregar el to al verbo. Por ejemplo, to play, to sing, to see, to watch, to run, etc. Por último, el quinto paso para formar la oración positiva es el complemento. En este caso, en este ejemplo, el complemento sería el tiempo donde se hará la acción, que es tonight, esta noche. Y así es como se forman las oraciones positivas. I'm going to play baseball tonight. Now, remember that the structure to form positive sentences in future simple is subject plus verb to be plus going to plus infinitive form of the verb plus complement. Es sujeto más verbo to be más going to más la forma infinitiva del verbo más un complemento.
Now we're going to talk about the structure of negative sentences. I use the example of I'm not going to have lunch today, que traducido es no voy a almorzar hoy. First, we start with the subject, that in this case is I. You can use also I, you, he, she, it, they, or we. Then we have the verb to be, that in this case, since my subject is I used am. But if your subject is he, she, it, your verb to be is going to be is. If your subject is you, they, we, your verb to be is going to be are. Then we follow with negative form of future simple. That is not going to, since we have the since this sentence is a negative form. Then we follow with the infinitive of the verb, el verbo infinitivo, that in this case is have. Last but not least, we have the complement, el complemento, that in this case is lunch today. In order, the sentence is going to be I, subject, am, verb to be, not going to negative form of future simple, have infinitive of the verb, and lunch today, the complement. Then we follow with the structure of interrogative sentences. For this case, my example is he going to travel to Italy? Que traducido al español es ¿va a viajar a Italia? O ¿él va a viajar a Italia? And first we start with the verb to be. Since my subject, as I already explained, in the negative form, since my subject is he, I'm going to use is. If your subject is I, you're going to use am. If your subject is you, they, or we, you're going to use are. Then we have the future simple, going to. Then we have the infinitive of the verb, that in this case is travel. And then we have the complement, el complemento, and it is very important to add the question mark at the end of the sentence, since we have an interrogative, since this is an interrogative form of the future simple going to. So complete, we have is he going to travel to Italy? Va a viajar a Italia. Is the verb to be, the subject is he, going to is the future simple, travel is the infinitive of the verb, to Italy is a complement, and the question mark, that is very important.
I'm going to talk to you about which are some of the verbs that we use in the simple future most commonly. So you can watch a chart here that has the infinitive, the simple future, and the negative of some verbs that we use more likely on a daily basis, more than others. And I think that it's important to remind them. First, we have the to be. That in infinitive, it's like that, it's to be. But in the simple future, it will be. And in the negative, it will be, will not be. We have another verb, just as work, that in the infinitive form, it's to work. In the simple future, it's will work. And in the negative form, it's will not work. We have another ones, just as to use, that it's the infinitive form to it. Then we have the simple future that will be, will use. and we have the negative form that it will not use. And like that, we have a lot of verbs that come on daily basis more commonly than others, and that it's important to keep them in mind so that you can communicate in a more fluent way, in a more practical way too. Okay, so here we have another examples of the simple future, but in the going to form that constructs a little bit differently than the other way that I showed you. So here we're gonna guide a little bit more by the pronoun that we're using to construct the way that it's going to turn out our sentence. For example, in this chart we have the infinitive form to be and to ask, and they both construct differently according to the type of pronoun that they are using. For example, if we use the pronoun I, then it's I am going to be, because the am, it's used when we use the pronoun I. But then we have it with you, with they, and there it will be you are going to be, or you are not going to be in its negative form, because with the you, with they pronouns, we use are. And then we have the he, she, it pronouns that instead of being am or are, it's going to be is. So it's going to turn out like he is going to be, or he is not going to be. And to be, or he is not going to be. And the same goes to the verb ask.
But how do we use the simple future tense on a daily basis? ¿Cómo vamos a usar el futuro simple en la vida diaria? Vamos a recordar las tres diferentes formas. Let's remember the three different forms. These are positive, negative, and interrogative. Positivo, negativo, e interrogativo. These are three examples of the positive form. We are going to the beach. I am going to school. They are going to make sushi. In these three examples, we can see the common parts of the going to. Podemos ver las partes comunes que deben de llevar todas las frases que incluyen el going to. Por ejemplo, el pronombre, we, I, they, el verbo to be, are, am, are, el going to, y pues a dónde van. We are going to the beach. We are going to school. They are going to make sushi. Here are some examples of the negative form. He's not going to work tomorrow. Él no va a trabajar mañana. They are not coming back. Ellos no se van a regresar. I am not going anywhere. Yo no voy a ningún lado. As we can see, these phrases are starting to get more complicated for you to understand better the subject. Como podemos ver, estas frases se están empezando a complicar más para que entiendas los diferentes niveles de las frases y cómo los puedes usar en la vida diaria. And last but not least, we are going to see some examples of the interrogative form. Are we going to Nadia's party? Are they going to dress up for Halloween? Se van a disfrazar para Halloween. Ellos se van a disfrazar para Halloween. Are you going to do your makeup tomorrow? Te vas a maquillar mañana. El denominador común para todas las frases de simple future con going to es que todos llevan su pronombre, su verbo to be, el going to y pues qué es lo que van a hacer, qué es lo que va a pasar en el futuro. O en su caso, qué es lo que no va a pasar o qué es lo que está interrogando que puede o no pasar.